Right, let's go and see how wet it is. Now I'm going to walk slowly because I suspect we're going to get an amount of flapping going up in front of me because there's some sort of bird, but it's in the heather. I can't see what it is. Oh, it's a duck. Mallard. Oh, and ducklings. Did you see them? I hope you did. No, I don't want to frighten it too much, but unfortunately it's going up the path where I'm going. I'll let it get ahead. I don't want to frighten it too much. Hopefully you caught that. Right, obvious reason I'm here is to check out the 2 bonsai that I want to collect and get myself some landmarks that I'll be able to find again in the dark. So initially I also wanted to see how wet it is. Can I get away with just wearing my walking boots and not my welly boots? So 2 things today. Only a quick visit. So at the moment I'm just following a path, so this won't be a problem. Right, I'll come back on in a minute. Given that at some point a team of volunteers under the supervision of a couple of wardens will come out here and take down all of these pines. Now when you're thinking of bonsai, I could make a living out of this. Given how much bonsai are and how many suitable candidates I could see to make starter trees with an initial shaping, I could make a fortune. And then you get oddities, so I don't want to lose my way, but then you get one like this. Now this is a much older tree. This isn't a young tree. This one's been around a while. It's already got a gnarly trunk and some character to it. Anyway, that's not why I'm here. And as I said, I don't want to lose my path because I've got to find this. I know it might sound odd to walk across a boggy area in the dark, but there is a path, and the path is light and the sides are dark, and believe it or not, when I get out here in the dark it will be far from dark. I'll be able to see fine. Anyway, it's just looking around in this area how many bonsai potential trees there are. They're everywhere. You could make something out of nearly all of them. Anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here for 2 very specific ones, one of which I might have trouble finding again. But first of all, we've got to get to where it looks like the soil's been disturbed. That's where the path up the hill goes. That's where one of them is, and my marker is that wooden barrier thing, which I'm still not quite sure what the hell it's for, but I should be able to find that okay. And the main reason I can find that okay is the path curves round towards it, and it's got some dugout on the other side of it with a light top. Again, that will show in the dark. So we're on our way. Down again. Well, that was quite easy to find, and the fact that it's on the main path. That little path I was on, that barrier thing's down there. I didn't bother trying to get to that. I just stayed on the path I was on, and it came out just there. So then it's a matter of walking across to this sort of like 3 dips here to the outside one, and then turn right, and it's about 10 steps. So this is the first job. Come and get this one. It's got a lovely taper on the trunk. It's a little bit straight at the top section. We might have a go at putting a bend in that. We haven't tried bending a big bit before. Anyway, the candles are just starting to move, so it needs to be now. Otherwise those candles will die back and lose the effect. So that's number 1. Now I've got to try and find number 2, and I have no recollection of where it is, so I'm going to have to go and find it. And then when I find it, take a marker so that I can find it again. Oh, all good fun, isn't it? While I'm here, I might actually see something else. Who knows? Well, I'm blowed if I can find that second tree. What I should have done, if I'd had half a brain, was look at the video from when I found it, when I did actually, from where it was, look back and take a couple of markers, but I didn't think to do that before I came out today. Now, it's not in that group there, which was my first suspect, so I headed up there, and it starts getting very wet very, very quickly. It's not in that little group there, and that is just too wet. This is too wet in the daytime. There's pockets of quite, you know, foot deep, horrible, manky water, and I don't want to be doing that while I'm stumbling around. All I know is that it was here somewhere, and at the moment I can't find it. And of course, you have to bear in mind, although highly unlikely, I might not be the only one using this area for said collection. You know, there may be others that have realised the potential here. Who knows? But there is a lot of potential here, an awful lot. Still, we'll give up on that, I think, and we'll concentrate on the one and leave it at that, on the grounds that the ground is just very wet, which I was expecting it to be worse. And the problem is, if I leave it any longer, the one that I'm definitely going to get, the candles are starting to expand and I'll lose my window. And in addition to that, we could get some rain and make it a lot worse. So I think we'll run with the one I found and leave it at that for this year. Maybe we'll go on a search, possibly in another place for another time. But everywhere I look, I see little shapes. I mean, like that little shape there. It's lovely. It's got some lovely shape to that trunk. It's got taper, and it's growing. Which some of the trees out here might look okay, but they're not. The chances are their roots have died and the branches just haven't gone with them yet. But everywhere you look, there's potential. There's some pretty good stuff out around here. And all it is it's the fact that this is very acidic. You've got high ground up here where the trees can grow big, and they've been allowed to, and the prevailing wind comes over the top of that rise and takes all the seeds down into this area, and quite a few germinate, and then some die, and some just hang on, but they're weak. They've got no nutrients and very acidic soil, and they've often got their feet in water, which the roots will drown if they stay in water too long. So it's a bit of a survival thing going on, which is why a lot of them have got stunted growth, which is good. Well, not for the trees, but for me it is. So we'll leave it at that, I think. I'll just have a walk down to the bottom of the path and a look in there, but I've got a feeling it's just going to be too wet. That whole area down there is incredibly wet, but we'll go and have a look. Well, if it's out in this bit, I think it's going to have to stay there. This is wet. I'm just wondering what that purple is. It is actually flowers. I haven't got a clue what they are. What gorgeous colour. And that's just growing on the sphagnum moss. I haven't got a clue what that is. It's not heather. It's not part of the heather, I don't think. Lovely. And that's the only ones I can see. There's not another splash of purple anywhere, just those. Maybe somebody knows what they are, but as you can see everywhere here, it's difficult to spot good footings, and that's in the daytime when I can see properly. You can hear me squelching underfoot. So as I said, I think if it's in this bit, it's going to have to stay there. It's just too big a risk in, you know, it's just too big a risk. I end up falling over and getting absolutely covered in mucky, smelly water and that sort of stuff. It's just not worth it. We'll stick to the one that's on the path and leave it at that for now. But everywhere I look, I see craggy trunks that would work. As I said, if I mean, for that sort of level of collecting, I'd have to go back to the warden and actually make arrangements and possibly get accompanied. But you know, I mean, I could quite happily collect 20 trees here and turn them all into reasonable bonsai in a couple of years that would be worth a fair bit of money. You know, as a business enterprise. They'd all be Scots pine. There are some other types of pines here, but they're very thin on the ground. There's a long-needled pine in amongst these on occasions, but they don't make very good. If I can get there, I can see one from here. But they don't make very good bonsai for the simple reason the needles are too long. Is this worth it? So, you know, that wasn't as wet as I thought it was going to be. See, there's a long-needled pine there, and when it's next to the Scots pine, you can see the difference. But as I said, they don't make very good bonsai. Right, well, I'm here now, and I didn't get soaking wet. So I will have a look round and see if this was the area it was in, because I just can't remember. And if I find it, well, the camera will go back on again. And then occasionally there's one of them, whatever that is. It's not a pine, that's for sure. And there's two of them. So it's not only pines and birch here, there are other things. I'd love to get a silver birch that had already got its silver trunk, because they can take quite a few years to turn silver. But the trouble is, by then they've got a long spindly trunk and they don't work. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. Carry on searching. He who perseveres. It's nowhere near where I thought it was. It's right down on the flat bottom. There's the path right up there, where the other one is. And I was looking out there. It's right down here. But I'm not so sure, now I've had a good look, that it's actually going to work. Because yes, it's a twin trunk, which is rare in conifers, but the twin trunk doesn't start at the base. It starts quite a few inches above the base, and I'm not sure that's going to work. So I might leave it. Perhaps it's not as good as I thought it was. Wishful thinking. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a little one that seems to have a reasonable little bit of shape. I'm going to pull it and see if it comes out the ground. And if it does, we'll take one home. There's lots of little tiny ones around. I wonder if one will just pull out. But all that area down there in the summer, that was water. And it's dry. It's all drained away. Now that just shows how dry the spring has been for that lot to have dried out. Anyway, I'll see if I can find something that will just gently pull out the ground. We'll take one home. Maybe.